comic books, movies, TV, and more. Nerds are everywhere. It's time to assemble! It's Nerds United.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Nerds United, live on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm your host, Greg Mahachko, and joining me is my wonderful friend and the co-host of the year, Mike Luther. Mike, I missed doing that.
You know, I was going to say, I'm sure the situation where that you're allowed to yell isn't great, but also the fact that you can yell now it adds another layer to it. So yeah, thank you.
I don't have to worry about waking up children right. It's and again, yeah, the circumstances, drizzling shits, but
you're making the best of it.
That's all we can do.
Yes, exactly.
And oddly enough, everything's copacetic and the boys seem to be happy and awesome. Everything's civil and you're like, I've never gone through anything like this before, yes. So I don't know how to do it. So I'm just doing it the best way I know how, which is just keep the peace.
Well, I've only gone through it on a different side of being a kid, and it was not fun. But I think you guys are doing good. It seems like so.
Well, thank you.
Of course.
So we're back. It's been 4 weeks, and we know that because when this whole lifestyle situation thing happened, we knew that when I'd had the boys every other weekend, that those were not going to be weekends we were going to do shows. And last week, Mike, you came down to the house, and I'll be honest with you, and you were on the same page. I was like, let's just have a couple beers and talk.
Yeah,
Neither one of us were in a place to do a show.
Yeah.
So that's why it's been, like I said, 4 weeks. It's January. It's been January since we did a show, Mike. So, how have you been?
Good.
Again, for the purposes of on air, it's been a month, but I know, we talk all the time, but how have you been in the last month?
Good. I was going to tell you, I found a new podcast you might like if you haven't heard of it already. Rainn Wilson, is that his name? Dwight from The Office.
Yes.
Has a podcast called Soul Boom, SOULBOOM. You might want to check it out. It's pretty interesting.
What's it about?
It kind of spiritual aspects, some religious type of stuff. It's not like overloaded with that or anything. It's for anybody, honestly. But he had the one I was listening to, and I watch him on YouTube actually. He had Bobby Lee on from Mad TV and his own podcast, another
right.
And you normally, if I see Bobby Lee, he's on video or something, he always acting up and stuff. This is the first time I've seen him kind of somewhat serious and actually talking and not just trying to make jokes. But I forgot who the first one not on that I saw was, but yeah, I don't know. You might find it interesting.
Cool. No, thank you. I'll look into that. I'm still, I would say woefully behind, but Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
I'm so behind on that. I'm like probably a year behind.
Right. Well, and I went through and got really picky with some of the guests. I was like, I don't know really who that person is. So we're not gonna listen to that. We're not gonna, I think they're a new episode every week or maybe every 2 a week or something like that. I don't know. So like I said, I just very behind, but through that one I found Talkville, the Smallville Rewatch podcast, and I didn't realize until I started listening, kind of getting back into the rhythm of listening to podcasts more. And I don't drive as much for work. Like it used to be nothing going back to like 2021. I used to drive from Belleville all the way down to like Marion, Harrisburg, things like that. Or I'd go up to Springfield. My road time's maxed out usually about 45 minutes anymore.
Yeah.
Which is good for the mileage, but I'm not listening to podcasts as much. But I didn't realize when I started listening to Talkville, I was like, oh, I'm at the end of season 4. Oh, they recorded this episode like in June of last year.
Right. Yeah. I'm behind on that one too.
I'm not, I'm not running out of material anytime soon, it seems. So
no.
And I'm still, doing doing the other, listening and things that I do for my own mental and spiritual well-being. So
that's what I think you'll like. I think you'll like So Boom.
Good news. I'll look into it. Thank you. What? Anything else been going on?
Not really. School, gym, work, the usual stuff. I don't know. Sadly, no.
I don't know if you can tell, but I haven't been going to the gym.
Well, you look skinny.
But it's not from going to the gym. It might be because, what was it? Oh, well, when you were here 2 weeks ago, I made a sandwich. I made like a turkey sandwich while you were here, and that was the first thing on a Friday at like 7:30, 7:45. That's the first thing that I'd eaten since Wednesday.
By the way, that is so. I've figured out there's two ways that people lose a lot of weight, and it's not I go to the gym and I eat right, which is what you would think. There's two ways that I've learned, and when I say a lot of weight, I'm talking like 50 plus pounds in a month or something like that. One is they'll just give up one thing. Like it'll be like, yeah, I stopped drinking soda and I lost 60 pounds in 2 months. And it's like, how much soda were you drinking? Or it'll be completely stress induced where, they'll be like, you, and I know, I won't name them, but I know of another person that lost a bunch of weight. And it was like, well, how'd you do it? It's like, oh, well, I'm stressed out all the time and I just forget to eat for days. And it's like,
for me, it wasn't forgetting to eat. I had what I called the anxiety shits.
Yeah.
So, which is not. This is how we win people over, really.
That's right.
It's how we get all the viewers and listeners talk about this stuff. But no, I have been trying to. Last April, when my doctor was like, "You're everything's normal, but your cholesterol's in the high end of normal." He's like, "You're 42 years old," or I guess 41. He's like, "You're 41 years old. You're almost 280 pounds. Like, you need to start making some lifestyle changes." And that's, he said, "You need to cut back on carbs." I said, "Okay." I said, "I've already stopped eating after 8 o'clock." So that has played into some of the, weight losses. Like sometimes I wouldn't get home till after 8. I'm like, guess I'll have some water.
That's because you told me that, and that a lot of people. That's good. What time do you normally go to? Like, if you stop eating at 8, what time do you go to bed?
Oh, I still don't go to bed till like 12.
See, that's my problem. Is because two problems. Is one, I'm not joking when I say this. I bet you 70% or 60% of my diet, what I eat, comes late at night because I'm not hungry during the day, and then for whatever reason, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever comes around, I'm like, what can I snack on? What can I eat? Let's go. And also, like, if I were to stop eating, let's say at 8, I go to bed at 10, okay, that's understandable. But if I'm going to bed at midnight or 1, I'm hungry going to bed, and I have food here, so I'm just like, I'm just going to eat it.
Yeah.
It's healthier, I'm sure.
One of the first grocery trips that I made around the time of moving in over here, Fred's here. Hello, Fred.
Fred?
Thanks for tuning in. I got a party size bag of M&Ms, and it is for Matthew, my youngest, as a reward system for when he tries, because he still hadn't pooping on the potty. So it's like when he sits there and tries, he gets like 1 or 2 M&Ms, and if he actually pooped on the potty, he'd get 4 or 5. He has yet to poop on the potty, but I tell you what, I'm rewarding myself with M&Ms left and right. So it's, if I could get rid of, cut back on the sweets, I'd be in even better shape. So, I've got some weight loss goals yet. You'd be very proud of me, Mike. We've had warmer weather this week here in southern and south central Illinois, and on Wednesday, and folks who are here in watching, who watched 5 Heart Podcast last night, they've already heard the story, so apologies to them. But on Wednesday, I'm sitting there, I've had dinner, it's like 7:15, and I was like, it's still pretty nice. I was like, I could go for a walk.
Yes.
I didn't.
Okay.
But the thought in there, I'm like,
that's a start.
That's how these things change. Because next time I'll actually put shoes on, or I'll actually get out of the chair.
Yes.
I'll go for a walk.
I'm the same way. I love walking outside when it's nice. Getting me to actually do it is a different story,
right?
Because I tell myself, like, I walk in the gym, like I'll do 15 minutes on the treadmill before. During my sets, I'll walk around for 2 minutes while resting. Afterwards, I'll do 10 minutes on the treadmill. I try to get 7,000 steps a day, at least when I'm working out. Sure. But I also tell myself, like, this is like mental. And actually, I'm working on a paper on this for school. Just a short thing I do Sunday that I should probably start. About how about how being outdoors can help your mental health. And it's true for me, at least, especially when it's nice out, like it's been lately. Go for a walk. But again, it is I can easily go to the gym and like motivate myself to do that, but just to go outside and walk a bit, it's a little bit more difficult. But that's going to be another goal of mine, is just to not walk every day, but every 2 or 3 days go, because there's a park right here, wherever it's at, I'm pointing. And yeah, over there. Yeah, there it is. And just, walk for, last year, there was a couple times where I'd walk for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, so yeah, but it does help mentally. Speaking of health, hold on.
What are you drinking tonight?
A friend of mine brought over some Yingling not that long ago. And so still working on those. They go down smooth though, that's for sure.
It's who was that man? I'd like to shake his hand.
Yeah, I have before. I did a podcast with him too.
Look at that. Look at us drinking the same beer,
like the good old days.
Man, we'll talk about it later in the show, but yeah, and maybe we've talked about it in the past of doing some of the or in recent episodes about how pre-COVID, when you were living here in Belleville, like we went to the brewery and I got to sit in where they actually brew the beer and can the beer and talk with the brewmaster and got to try freshly brewed beer. And it was a good time. We had a lot of fun doing the show.
We shut that brewery down.
Literally. So in the last 4 weeks, I know you've been doing school. Have you read anything non-school related?
No comic book type of stuff.
Boo!
Yeah.
That's all right.
Have
you acquired?
No.
Okay. I made, Mike, you'll be so proud of me. I made not one, but 2 comic book store trips.
Okay.
In the last 4 weeks. And we're going to break them down trip by trip.
Let's go for it.
The first trip happened about 2 weeks ago. And I acquired Grimm number 21, because that's a thing that's still going on.
By the way, that's I laugh. That's no disrespect to Stephanie Phillips, who's a huge fan of the show, probably listening right now. It's just that's how some comic books go, and we've talked about this before. Sometimes there's a 10-issue run, and sometimes they just keep going. I think the last one I bought was 13. I swear. Well,
and 13 was, that was 8 issues ago. That's probably been over a year, because they got off cycle. But I also got Absolute Wonder Woman issue 4.
Okay.
I got Absolute Superman issue 4.
Okay. Now the plan was that with the Absolutes we were going to wait. Not we, but we had kind of both just thought about we'll read the first 2 issues of each, and then we'll wait for it to kind of like be done or whatever. But it seems Greg is just being like, hey, which is fine.
Well, we'll get to that update in a minute.
Okay.
I've got an update for you.
Ooh, perfect. Okay.
And then I apparently the timing was right that I got Absolute Batman 4 and 5.
Okay. All right.
So we'll get into them. And then me, sometimes I just like to browse and covers oftentimes catch my attention. So one of the covers that caught my attention, it's an Image comic, and it is volume 1 of the Department of Truth.
Oh, okay. That looks interesting.
The End of the World. Now, as I hold the cover up for you, I'll read what it says on the back. It says, Cole Turner has studied conspiracies all his life, from flat earth theory and the assassination, it was easy for me to say, assassination of JFK, to modern day crisis actors, but he isn't prepared to live in a world where collective belief can turn fringe theories into reality. That is the terrible secret revealed to Cole when he is inducted into the Department of Truth, a top secret branch of the American government that's been tasked for generations with making sure dangerous conspiracies don't get a foothold in the real world. But as Cole pulls back the curtain on everything he ever accepted as fact, he must ask himself whether this mysterious department is a force for good, or if it has more sinister reasons for wanting to control the truth.
First of all, the cover is one of those that, like, I also would, if I pass by it, that catch my eye. We've talked about those before. And then even reading the back of it, that's something that I feel like is in my wheelhouse.
And it's got some endorsements from some of the top names that we've talked about for years. Kieran Gillen, who did Die, The Wicked and the Divine, and Once and Future, said Hickmanian conspiracy games, Burausian crime, Sankovitzian style, the truth, you want it. Scott Snyder, of course, of Batman, says genuinely one of the best comics you'll read this year. Do not miss it. And Brian Michael Bendis says the hype on this is real.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to eventually reading it from you.
And you know what? I just a quick look at the inside art. You know, it's let me see if I can get it. How does that? This is not doing it justice at all, is it?
It's doing good. It's better live. I mean, when you're there.
And another one that I acquired that day, first trip. This is a hardcover. It's a DC book, and it was wrapped in plastic, which is like, okay. But the cover art was very reminiscent of Batman Noel. Batman Noel.
Course, yes.
This is called Batman the World.
Okay.
And basically, it's Batman all across the world in various stories, various art styles, various creative teams. It's a little bit of an anthology. Looks like there's 13, 14 different little short stories in here. I'm on 3.
Okay.
But, names that you'll recognize from up and down Batman lore throughout the ages. Brian Azzarello is in it. We've got other people.
That's good.
Brian Azzarello and others.
Okay. Brian Azzarello.
I think what it is they got comic book writers from some of those countries to contribute stories.
Smart idea.
More, I don't want to say culturally appropriate, but to make it more feel like home.
Yeah.
For them. So
that's a smart.
So that's one that I'll get in your hands eventually. And then this past Wednesday, so we had sickness tear through our homes.
It's been going around, dude.
Matthew, I got a call 8:45 Monday morning that Matthew had a fever, so I had to make that 2-minute drive to daycare to pick him up, and we hung out Monday and Tuesday, and then I took took him over to the other house Wednesday morning, took his brothers to school. Thursday morning, yesterday morning, Robert was throwing up at like 5:30 in the morning. But I went yesterday and picked up Garrett from school because the twins were over at the other house all day. And I picked him up and we went and got some shakes from McDonald's.
Ooh, nice.
He got vanilla. I got shamrock. And I took a shamrock shake to my buddy Tim over at Twilight Comics, Swansea, Illinois, and got some more comics.
By the way, speaking of the cold, when I left, this is not blaming you. I think I was probably sick before. So Friday night we hung out, that next day, Saturday I was so sick, like I was just like my body was completely worn out. I slept all day Saturday, and then it was taking medicine, vitamin C and everything like that for it. In fact, Sunday slightly better, but I didn't go to church because I was like, because I was still coughing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to, there's old ladies in church and stuff, and I don't want to spread it to them, feel bad. So I skipped. And then even Monday night, I had a church thing I was usually go to, and I didn't go to that because, again, it wasn't feeling great. It was feeling a little bit better. And then like Tuesday, I was okay.
Good.
But yeah, so it's, whatever it is going around.
Luckily, all the kids got to daycare and school today.
Good.
And got for the full day. So it seems like Robert kicked it out of his system a little faster than Matthew, but at the end of the day, at least at present, they're all healthy and
good to go. Yeah,
good to go.
Yeah.
So, but I took Garrett. He got a book. I'm trying to remember what it was now. Oh, it was. I think it was a Bat Wheels, like DC Bat Wheels cartoon book.
Yeah.
So he got that, and I said, "Buddy, you keep that over at your mom's." Mm-hmm. He says, "No, I want to keep it at your house, Daddy." I said, "Okay, cool."
It's a comic book house. That's why.
That's right. So while there, of course, I had 2 books in my folder, my pull folder, and found one. So this is Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman number 5.
Okay.
And I said, "Oh, that'll be it, right?" I was talking with Tim. I said, "That's the end of it," because I remember on issue 1 or 2 it said, part 1 of 5 or part 2.
Yeah.
He said, "No, it's going to keep going. Yeah. It's just that particular arc is 1 of 5 or 2 of 5." Oh. I said, "Okay, well, this will be my last one."
Yeah.
He said, "Okay," and I imagine it's going to be similar with Ultimate or Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman. Yeah. He says, "Do you want me to put you down for the next run, which is like Flash and Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter?" I was like, "I'll see him when I
come in the
door."
Yeah,
like I'm not going to be running and jumping there. So the other one that he actually reached out and said, "Hey, you got the first volume of this. Did you want the finish of the story?" And I think now you have volume 1, but that's Brave and Bold, the Book of Destiny.
I might.
Okay. If not, it's around here and it'll be in your hand soon enough. So that'll be the conclusion of that. And then the last one that I got, and again, this one was staring at me. It was facing out. It wasn't, like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's called Barbaric.
Okay.
And
that's definitely you. That's definitely a you comic.
I'm so barbaric, right?
Yes, of course.
But Tim says he believes that Barbaric has been optioned to a studio, for either a movie or a series or something. But apparently, and you can kind of see that the axe here. Apparently, it's a mystical axe. But I think he said that like maybe Sir Patrick Stewart or something like that got signed on or was attached to voice the act. I don't know.
Okay.
But it looks interesting. It looks kind of violent, but fun.
Yeah.
Looks a little barbaric. Could be a good time. And that's it. That's the 20 minutes of
perfect. Yeah, you got a good haul. You got some good stuff to read.
I just got to read it.
You just have to read it. Yes.
So anyway, speaking of things that we have, I'll say acquired, but or read, but we can move on as we usually do. This is the time where we talk about what have we watched, Mike?
Yes.
What shows have you watched?
Well, I watched Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I watched all, I think there's 9 or 10 episodes. I can't remember. On Disney Plus. I enjoyed it. Like I talked about it before. It's an alternate timeline for the MCU. They've got some I was going to say well-known characters. It's similar to what you would have in Spider-Man No Way Home and Far From Home and on all that stuff. Kind of just takes a different route though. I The ending was interesting in a good way. They kind of brought some stuff back around. Like I said, I would recommend it. I was talking to a friend of mine actually, and asked him, Corey. I don't know if I know he doesn't watch. I shouldn't say. I don't know if he watches. He for sure doesn't, or listen. But I asked him about it and if he had watched it, and he was like, I didn't even know about it. He's like, I guess I'll have to check it out. I was like, yeah, and the animation style is pretty cool. It's kind of comic book animation style, I guess, in a way.
I wasn't sure what to think of it. I think it's been probably about that long since it kind of came out. So
yeah,
I wasn't sure what to think about. I'm a couple episodes in, and when we talked about right at the end of 2024, the projects we're most excited for, like I had this way down at the bottom.
Right.
And you were like, Greg, you're insane.
And especially that first trailer that came out. Granted, the trailer came out after we had already done the podcast, but still, I'm not even mine because I think yours was at number 10 or whatever, and mine was at 5.
The bottom of the list.
Yeah, but yeah, it's worth checking out.
Okay. I'll keep watching it, and you know what else came out last week for a couple of episodes, and that's Reacher, season 3.
Yeah, so that's on Prime, right?
Yes.
So I need to get a Prime account because I had one, but then I got a PS5, and so I don't have those accounts anymore. So I'm going to have to get one. So there's probably somebody watching this that's going to help me acquire on my own, of course, a name and password. I just happened to forget my own username and password. So this person, when I possibly go over to their house one day for dinner, in a town that's nearby, it's not you, Greg, by the way.
Okay.
Then
I was going to say, man, I'm going to cook something for dinner tomorrow. You're welcome.
Yeah. So I haven't. I knew it was out. I haven't obviously watched it.
It was the first. So it premiered last week with 2 episodes, and then it's every new episode or new episodes every Thursday. I'm 1.5 episodes, give or take, in. It took a very surprising start. Like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil anything.
No.
But it's a big dude. And you find out that there's even bigger guy in this season, which I think we saw in the trailers.
Yes, I was going to say or a picture or something.
Right, and it's, I mean, I don't want to say lather, rinse, and repeat like it's repetitive, but you kind of know what you're getting. It's just how is the story going to unfold? Yeah, but just for that, I'm here for it. And I saw his friend, I don't want to say partner, but that Neely, right? His female, I don't say accomplice because that's but whenever he needs help, he calls to her. I think she's getting a spinoff. Okay, I saw something like Neely in production or something like that. If that's her right name.
If not, it is now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that's what they do. We like guys from Illinois just rename shit all the time.
Yep. Yeah, so I'll check that out eventually. It's getting harder to watch TV shows now. Not just time wise.
Yeah, it was the 5 Heart 2 weeks ago. Yeah, sure. 5 Heart 2 weeks ago. I got home from a meeting at 8:50 something. Ran downstairs I'm still in a suit. And then I sit down to do I didn't have time to do anything. What I'm really looking forward to, as crazy as it sounds, is not tonight because tonight I need to get to bed. I'm actually working tomorrow. It's a guy I work with was for somebody in my situation, you don't have weekends and week days. You have time with the kids and without the kids, and make the most of the time without the kids. So I'm working tomorrow. Pretty well a full day. So tomorrow night, I'm looking forward to sitting in this chair right here, having the lights off, kind of have a movie theater type of thing with my TV, just putting on a movie, putting on a show, and most likely waking up down here at 2:30 in the morning and going.
Yeah.
But just to kind of let all the cares of the world, off, and just because I haven't really been able to do that. I've been watching a lot of Community again.
Okay, yep. Good.
Just that kind of, I don't know. Studies show that when it's something familiar, when you don't have to like guess on the outcome because you've already seen it, then you're able to relax even more. So
I do that all the time with podcasts. I probably listen to 3 podcasts. I'll say Weekly Planet, Do Go On, and Prime Mates. Those are the 3 I cycle through, and it's usually not the new episodes. I'll listen to new episodes, but like I can listen to the same episode 3 or 4 or 5 times. Not in a row, but just going back, and I'll just flip through, and sometimes I'll do it as I'm falling asleep. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does the opposite because I'm interested in it. But yeah, it's something about the familiarity of it and just the coziness of it. So yeah.
So Reacher, Spider-Man, or Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and then the show that I don't say this negatively, but that kind of finally came to its merciful end.
No, you're correct. Yes.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah. I think we both were just like, we have to watch this. I think 3 seasons probably would have been more than enough. This is 6 seasons they did. I think it's 6, right? Yeah. 6. And then they dragged it out 3 different parts.
But not only that, but talk about living the life. Speaking of Community, 6 seasons and a movie, because here in a couple months we're getting Cobra Kai or Karate Kid Legends.
Yes, Karate Kid Legends, which I don't even know how it associates with this one. Like obviously Ralph Macchio's in it, but then they have Jackie Chan, and so
I don't think like Jackie Chan's not playing the Miyagi, because I think in that Karate Kid reboot in 2011 or 12 or whatever, like he was named Mr. Miyagi.
That's what I thought. I never watched
it. I don't think it's that. Right?
No. Yeah. But yeah, so I would say I watched it. Look, here's the thing. I remember watching the first season of Cobra Kai. I want to say I caught the first episode on YouTube when it was like YouTube Red or something like that, and liking it.
YouTube, not YouTube Red, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like YouTube, the YouTube you had to pay for.
Yeah. Mr. Quan. Okay.
Yeah. So
Collier 79. I've never met that person before. Awesome to have a new person. Are they? I'm sure they're on the 5 Art all the time. That's how we get people. No. All right, Collier, what's up?
Jackie Chan's character in the reboot was Mr. Quan. So I having not looked at IMDb, I guess only assume that he's going to be reprising Mr. Quan in.
I would assume so.
Legends, and that's how they'll tie him in. So
yeah, but like I said, I think the first season of Cobra Kai is great, and I think it puts a new spin or a new way of looking at Karate Kid. Of not necessarily that. God, what's Zapka's character's name? I forget all the characters' names now. Johnny. Not necessarily that Johnny was completely innocent, but that he had his way of thinking, like, and maybe from his perspective, he wasn't the bad guy, and talking about his troubled past and all that other stuff. It was good. Once you got to go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, that the most compelling villains are the ones who see themselves as the hero, and oftentimes we look at like Lex Luthor as an example. He was Metropolis's man of tomorrow. He was poised to be, the savior of the city with his genius intellect, and then Superman shows up. It's like, what the hell, man? So
right.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but you're right.
No, you're fine.
And they doubled down on that in How I Met Your Mother. Yes. Barney Stinson saying it's like, no, Johnny Lawrence is the Karate Kid. He trained. He was the All Valley champ.
Yes. But then when it got to the 4th and 5th season, then it's like they had nothing to do as far as I kind of joked about this before, where it was like, okay, so these two people hate each other and then they fight, and then they're friends again. Or these two people are friends, and then they fight, and then they hate each other. And then these two people, they fight for whatever reason, and then they're friends. Or maybe one is they like the other person. It's you have to understand in this world. This is hilarious. Karate is king.
Yeah,
everybody loves. First of all, you can become a black belt in karate within a school year. I don't know how long it normally
probably
takes.
by the time you get to homecoming. Honestly,
This is what happens. This is the formula. You get bullied in school, of course, right? And then you go to your local karate dojo, and there's a montage, and then usually, like, next week you're beating up 7 people that are bigger than you, and you're doing it through flips and kicks and roundhouses and everything, and you're the new karate master.
It's important to note that when you're beating up the 7 people, it's because they're all attacking you one at a time.
Well, of course, that's standard. That's standard. They have to attack you one at a time. They'll yell stuff at you. Nobody will stop it until it's done. You know, they make sure you get your fighting out of the way. It was like, again, it feels like I hated it, but I didn't. It was just, it reminded me, although not as bad, but it reminded me of the final season of The Flash, where it's just like, I've invested this much time in it, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make my way through it.
I was similar. I was pleased to make it through the series.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I disliked the later seasons as much as you did per se, or the formulaic nature.
Yeah.
Them. I know at one point you said, well, it's karate, and so that's all it is. There's no story. It's just karate.
That's the part. Season 6, part 1 and 2 was just like karate. They're like, somebody was like, they did a lot of times. I think in movies or TV shows, they'll have a plot, and then they'll be like, okay, we have a fight scene here. Let's work on that fight scene. And this one was the opposite. They're like, okay, we have 10 fight scenes that are amazingly choreographed. They're great fight scenes. And then somebody was like, guys, why are they fighting? And they're like, I don't know. There's the tournament, I guess, the Sakitaki tournament. And they're like, should we add more elements to this? And they're like, I don't know. The person doesn't like this person. They'll fight. Whatever. It's about karate. Just go.
I'll say this though, I like the way the story's all buttoned up. You know, look, we have colorful individuals in the chat, so who are going to take umbrage with what I say, but I like happy endings, Mike.
Yes. They're costly, but yes, I like them.
Yeah. You got to pay extra, right? All right. Well, before we leave the television realm, there's a show that I know you're dying for season 4.
Okay.
Which is out and available, by the way, right now on Hulu.
Okay.
You need more Shoresy in your life, Mike.
So Shoresy was one. I think I started watching it season 1, and I didn't think it wasn't as bad as Letterkenny. It wasn't great, but it was at least it was a little bit more humorous than the speaking of formulaic, the very formulaic Letterkenny. By the way, I know I'm going to get grief for this because a lot of people like that show. Friends of mine, for whatever reason, like it. I could never get into it. Shoresy wasn't bad. I don't think I finished the first season. That's not because of the show itself. I think just other stuff was going on in my life. Like I said, sometimes it's just harder to sit down and watch TV now. So I'm not anti-Shoresy.
Would you like, Mike, your very own Sudbury Blueberry Bulldog sweater? Hockey sweater? Like the Bulldogs here are representing?
Here's the thing. I will wear most free clothes. However, I think it would be, so I'm not saying no. It would be similar to if I wore a, I don't know, Cardinal shirt. People are going to want to talk to me about the Cardinals, and I won't know anything. I'll be like, that is a baseball team that I know of. It's in St. Louis. I don't think Ozzie Smith plays for them anymore.
It's true. Not for a long time.
That's about all I know. So I would wear it, but again, I'd have to like people like, oh my gosh, did you see Blip Blarp? And I'd be like, nope.
Highlander's here tonight. Says I could have swore Greg just said Salisbury, and I'm hungry.
I mean, maybe. Hey.
When's the last time you had a good Salisbury steak, Mike?
A good Salisbury steak. Interesting. No, it's I want to say probably 7-8 years.
Okay.
I'm not against it though.
No, a good Salisbury gravy goes a long way, my friend. So
I had a girl I was dating at the time. I believe she made one time. That was good. I don't think that's the last time. I think
Fred's
that's kind of what I'm thinking too. You know, there's some bad ones. There's some better ones. I think.
Highlander wants to know what tonight's topic is. Well, on the cover photo, it says comic books, movies, TV, and more. We covered comic books, covered TV. We're going to switch gears to movies now, Mike. But we're not going to start with a movie that's out and available.
What?
We're going to start with He-Man.
The other day I said, Greg, take a picture of yourself with a sword and let's talk about it. So Greg said, okay.
I'm glad you specified on what type of sword, though.
But that's true, yes.
Yeah. So this picture's clearly of me. It was taken, by request. Still trying to figure out why Mike wanted me holding my sword. No, this is the first image that we have of the currently in production He-Man and the Masters of the Universe film. I'll be honest with you, I'm not even going to look up who's starring as He-Man / Prince Adam.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued, like, because I grew up with He-Man, right? Like,
yeah,
He-Man was my jam. I still have Snake Mountain, and unfortunately, all the He-Man action figures that I had there, like the rubber bands that held the arms and legs,
right,
in place, they got worn out because they were rotted.
Right,
they were in an attic for 2 decades or whatever, probably more. So I don't have any of those classic action figures, but He-Man will always hold a special place in my heart. And so while I'm not entirely sure I'm in love with the story that that's been at least announced that they're going to try to tell, with a lot of the movie taking place on Earth.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a power sword, man. And so I'm curious. I mean, I'm intrigued.
Here's the thing. Only thing I want is He-Man to have the usual He-Man haircut.
You want the old the bob haircut?
Yes.
Oh,
with a little page boy haircut.
I want He-Man to be noticeably more tan than his Prince Adam counterpart.
Also true. Yes.
Because that was another part of the classic 80s Filmation series is Prince Adam. He talked like this and come on, Cringer. And then by the power of Grayskull, but tan, his hair was less yellow, more golden. And Cringer, of course, became Battle Cat.
Yes, indeed.
Let's see. Bradley D says, no Gwildor in this movie, I hope. Yeah, please. Although I think that Kevin Smith did a nice job of redeeming Gwildor in the He-Man cartoon on Netflix a couple years back.
Yeah.
So Aaron Keene is here. Highlander we mentioned. Minnie's here. We got quite a few of the Holger Maniacs here.
Nice.
So Minnie says, hello, Fred and Highlander, Greg and Mike.
Hello.
It's just good to see everybody here.
That's right. Yes.
Especially as we're getting to the better parts of the show. So He-Man, it's on his way. It's in production.
Sure.
A movie that is in theaters right now Captain America: Brave New World. Mike, have you made it to the theater to see this movie?
I have not. I was going to say this is the odd one because normally at least in the past, I've made it to see some that you haven't, or I'd be earlier than you. But this one, no, I have not made it, and I know you have. So I'm interested to see what your take on it is.
Well, let me tell you, I enjoyed it. I didn't anticipate, I knew Red Hulk was kind of a given, and the leader was, I think, at least announced, or maybe a trailer. But I didn't realize that it was going to be, for lack of a better term, like a love child of Captain America and Winter Soldier series and the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton.
Oh, okay.
Those were the last, those were kind of the movies I think feel like that fed into this, or not movie, projects, whatever, that fed into this. The other tidbit being like the Eternals, because they had, the
Celestial or whatever.
Celestial Island, I think is what they actually called it.
Okay.
But, and I don't think this is a spoiler. I think this has been, at least if you're hearing it from me, I apologize. This was definitely spoiled weeks ago. But it is Celestial Island is where the material known as adamantium first makes its appearance in the MCU, the whatever Marvel universe this is, because obviously we got adamantium in Deadpool and Wolverine, but now we know where it's coming from in this universe from Celestial Island. So.
Nice. Yeah, I heard there was going to be adamantium. There's somebody outside my revving their engine. So if I keep looking over there at my window, somebody's really cool in where I live.
That's cool, man. You gotta feel happy for those people.
Yeah. Anyway, how many end credit scenes are there?
Only one, and I'll be honest with you, it was pretty damn disappointing.
Okay, they've been disappointing the last several years.
It didn't do a whole lot, I don't think, to further.
No, they haven't been.
Anything.
Yeah.
First of all, I told you, I said, son of a bitch, this thing got spoiled the day the movie came out, which was so-and-so's MCU return, but it wasn't even in the movie. I clicked on the article, finally, I was like, this is bullshit. Where did they make it? Was from the last season of What If, but they put the character on with Sam Wilson here. I was like, you dirty fuckers, like clickbait crap. So I don't know. I didn't dislike the movie. I mean, I'm an easy mark though. I go to movies where I have an expectation that I'm going to enjoy the movie. Like I'm not going to go waste my money if I don't think it's going to be worth it to me. So
I'm the same way.
And it was a good time. Like I ate my popcorn, I ate my Reese's Pieces, I drank my water. I was happy.
Yeah, I might see it this
heroes fight.
Yeah.
I do like to. There was one point, you can't see it, but we've seen the trailers, and by now I think we've seen enough trailers. That the climactic fight is between our hero here and Red Hulk. And at one point, when he's being thrown around kind of like a ragdoll, he's like, "Oh, I should have taken the serum," So
oh yeah.
That's conversation because they had the secret Captain America. They brought that character back from Falcon and Winter Soldier or Captain America.
Okay. Was it Isaiah something? Is that you're talking
Isaiah
about?
Bradley, I believe.
Yeah.
So they brought him back as a pretty pivotal character. Yeah, I mean, it was just it was. I enjoyed it.
Good. Yeah.
So,
well, I think we have one more movie to talk about.
We have not just one more movie. We have the movie to talk about. Mike, I reached out to you on Wednesday, and I said, I was like, would you? I was trying to get you to watch this particular movie, but I was trying to felt like I had to sweeten the deal and be like, if you watch the movie, I'll do this, and you're nice enough to let me off the hook for that.
Well, technically, I was the one. You said, "What's the chances of you watching this?" And then I said, "Oh, I'll do it if this happens." And then I was like, "You don't really have to." It was gonna be, by the way, he had to do a shot of wild turkey, but I was like, nah.
And I even went and got a shot glass, so I was ready. And the wild turkey is behind the bar.
Yeah.
By the way, because we did have the twins' birthday party here on Sunday, so it's like Garrett called it when he came down and saw all the balloons. He called it balloon paradise, which was kind of fun.
That's true. That's what I would call it too.
But so you're letting me off the hook on the wild turkey. We'll make it up here maybe in a few weeks. But I said, Mike, will you do me the honor of watching Venom: The Last Stand?
Or Last Dance. Yeah.
And you watched it, you said.
I did because it was free on Netflix. So I checked it out. It's fine. I would put it next to, something like Thor: The Dark World or Iron Man 3, where it's not, or it's like, oh my gosh, please, you got to check this out. I like Tom Hardy as Venom. I always have. I knew it was going to be the end of the trilogy, if you will. It was very heavy-handed, but I guess somewhat of a spoiler alert. I'll try not to spoil too much, though. But it was very heavy-handed throughout the whole thing, where it's like, you know what, in the future, we are going to have a great family, and all this sentimental stuff where it's like, well, they're putting it out there. So is the chance of it, it's like any time in a movie, somebody's like, the one thing that we're going to do is we're going to go see, the Golden Gate Bridge, in this case, Statue of Liberty, and we'll go see it together. And it's like, okay, well, now we know you're not going to, because you mentioned it so many times, or you're not going to go like you're talking about going. Again, not bad. Did you watch the end credit scene?
No, damn it.
Yeah. There's an end credit scene. It's it's the reveal of, I don't know if it's
with Noel.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I did. I did see that.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, that's okay.
It was so bad.
Yeah,
like, the concept great. The execution on the CGI was not good.
No.
Well, I was going to say this. I thought that Noel was a bold, like, villain choice going out.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where you go with that character from here.
Yeah.
Venom is, spoiler, but I mean, like, the Venom franchise is dead. I mean, you just say that.
Yeah.
So, and Tom Hardy, I like you, I appreciated his run. I need to go back and watch like the original Venom movie.
Yeah.
I think this was better than Venom 2 Unleash the Carnage or whatever.
Probably. Yeah.
And I remember I watched that one in theaters, just to give me an idea of where I was in, what was it, 2021 that one came out?
That was still at the time. I don't know about you, but for me, I was watching every superhero movie that came out. It was just like, well, it's a Super Bowl. Of course, I would have to watch it. And now it was 2021. Let There Be Carnage. Yeah.
So, but I don't remember much of that. And granted, there's recency because I just finished watching The Last Dance tonight. About an hour before we started going. I worked on it. I made sure that I got it done. I enjoyed it. I liked the, movies available, and it is from last year, but I liked the other symbiote fighters, the other iterations, the other powers that came with them. And I really liked the kind of buddy cop aspect of Eddie Brock and Venom, that they, go back to the first movie and they just hated, they couldn't figure out how to, get along and coexist. To now, at one point, Eddie Brock or Tom Hardy says, he's like, this is my best friend,
Right.
And then to have, spoilers, whatever, have your best friend,
sacrifice himself,
himself save you, on his way out the door type of thing. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty heavy ending there.
Yeah. I would be, so I think Sony, this from what it feels like, they're kind of going to be done with all the non-Spider-Man movies,
As they should.
As they should. This is the only one. I'm surprised. This is the only one that's made it 3 movies, really more than one movie, without Spider-Man, because they tried it with Morbius, didn't work. They tried it with Craven, didn't work. What else? Madam Web didn't work. This one at least worked. They made it through. I think again, partly is because of Tom Hardy. I would like to see him as a Venom in the MCU. Not even having anything to do with this. It could just be him as Venom. It could be a variant. It could be, But I do still want to see Spider-Man and Venom together. And Tom Hardy has talked about that, where he's like, it was an interview, and I want to say they said, which Spider-Man and would you want to fight? He's like, oh, Tom Holland. He's like, that's my Spider-Man. That's the one we're supposed to.
Well, and we're granted a few years out, but Secret Wars is in the comics going back to like the 80s. I think that's where Spider-Man first gets the symbiote.
Yeah.
So I would say never say never.
Right.
I think it would be cool to see that all black, white spider outline version of the suit in the MCU with Tom Holland, and then Eddie Brock coming along and maybe even claiming back the symbiote, something like that. So
yeah.
But so I mean, again, I enjoyed it. As far as trilogies go, like I said, I thought the second one was the weakest of the bunch, but I enjoyed. I'm glad that I was, putting the cap on Cobra Kai, putting a cap on Venom. And as far as trilogies go, Mike, now,
yes,
you had a brilliant idea 3.5 weeks ago.
I did. I said, hey, let's do a little draft here of superhero movie trilogies. I'll put the board together, and I did, and I'll explain the board once you put it on.
Do you remember the board?
Explain anything? What's that?
You remember the board?
No, I remember some of them.
Okay. Well, here we go then. Right. By the way, everybody, what we did, I think we probably started this a little over a year ago, is we would, do a choose 5 of picking 5, whether it's movies from the 80s or bands, things like that. Then it kind of evolved, and we just kind of do, hey, you know what? It's our show. We do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
This time, Mike had the great idea of trilogies. So
yeah.
Let's see.
We'll draft back and forth. We'll pick. Greg, I'll let you go first since I created the board.
That's dangerous because I just looked at the board earlier. So
that's okay.
All right. So here's the board. Mike, why don't you give a rundown of what comic book properties are on the board? All
right. So we have the Ant-Man and Wasp trilogy. I realize there's a lot on here. Sometimes it's very cluttered, but I apologize. So we have the Tom Holland Spider-Man, or the MCU Spider-Man trilogy. We have the OG X-Men trilogy. Then we have the New Class X-Men trilogy. We have the Venom trilogy, which, by the way, when I added this, I had not seen the last one yet. We have the Iron Man trilogy, the Deadpool trilogy, the I guess Sam Raimi or Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy, Blade trilogy, the Captain America trilogy, Thor trilogy, which I will explain that in a bit. Go ahead.
Well, go finish the trilogy.
Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, Batman trilogy, the Christian Bale one, and then the Wolverine trilogy. So you had a question about one of them.
Captain America trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Has Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Avengers, I believe, Age of Ultron.
By the way, okay, so that's wrong. It should be. By the way, I did because that's good eye. I didn't look at that. I just literally Googled Captain America trilogy, solved something, and it clicked it. Okay. So yeah, true. It should be Captain America, First Avenger, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Captain America, Civil War.
Okay.
I didn't look, so that's a good eye. And then so the Thor one, obviously there is a Thor 4, but I was talking to Greg about this. So I think that from Thor, OG Thor to Thor Ragnarok is a complete arc, or as far as a complete arc as far as in the comic book as that it can be. Like you don't need Thor Love and Thunder on it. Like you can just watch those 3 and it's good. The reason I didn't have Avengers trilogy on, because if you go from Avengers to the third one would have been
Endgame?
Infinity War. Infinity War. That's a bad cutoff. Like you need Endgame for it. So I just to put that one on there. But anyway, I'll let you. By the way, there's a for me there's like a clear number one.
I think I know what your number one is.
Mm-hmm.
My number one is going to be the Christopher Nolan Batman.
You know, that's okay. That's fair. I was, in fact, before you said that, I was going to be like, there's a clear 1 and 2. Okay.
Here's the thing. I know The Dark Knight gets all the love, but I really, really like Batman Begins still.
Absolutely.
To this day. So
yeah. Good choice. Almost as good as mine, which is the Captain America trilogy.
Damn it, that was gonna be it. I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing that,
mm-hmm.
Can't believe you forced my hand. I'm gonna do the Deadpool trilogy. That's
fine. That's fine. I'm completely fine with that.
I really thought that's where you were going, because I really want to because the fondness I have in my heart for Captain America: The First Avenger.
So okay, first now it starts off great. The First Avenger. Then I think Winter Soldier is one of the best. Not just Captain America movies, just superhero movies in general. And then to end it with Civil War, where you get the introduction of Spider-Man, you get the introduction of Black Panther. You have the big, I think Kevin Smith has talked about it, where it's like the big, the superhero splash screen, page. Oh, yeah. They're all fighting and stuff like that. I watched it again recently. It still holds up. Deadpool trilogy, also great. I loved original Deadpool. Deadpool 2 is good. I'm not even going to say fine. It's good. And of course, you end it with the classic Deadpool and Wolverine, something people have always been, for a long time now, have been wanting to see them two together.
Right.
And we didn't think we were going to get it. We did. Okay, so my next one, as far as complete trilogies go, with talking about great arcs and from beginning to end of, like, I enjoyed where everybody ended up, and I don't know if we're going to see more of them. I'm going to go with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
I mean, it's just,
well, you know that Yondu's funeral. I mean, we have one of my favorite episodes is like top 5 MCU moments.
Yeah, and
I think in that top 5, I have Yondu's funeral, and I have pre Super Soldier Serum Steve jumping on the dummy grenade.
Yeah.
So you've got
yeah.
I think here's the thing. The problem is we have a lot of options where 2/3 are really good. 2/3 of the trilogies are really strong.
Yes.
So I love Thor, but without Iron Man had to be the first successful domino to fall.
True.
And even though Iron Man 3 lacks in a lot of ways, I think that the strength of Iron Man, which continues to hold up, give me Iron Man next.
That's not a bad choice at all. You are correct. Iron Man 3, not great. I honestly think Iron Man 3, part of it not being great is because they kind of promised us Mandalorian.
Mandarin.
The
orange.
They didn't promise the Mandalorian. That was completely different. The Mandarin, and we got a fake version. It was just it wasn't right, But yeah, if it wasn't for Iron Man being as successful as it is, we would not have the MCU as we know it. Talking about Green Lantern, though. Agreed. Yes, Aaron, of course. Look, there's not a Green Lantern trilogy, okay? There's barely a Green Lantern movie, okay?
Did you see the image out there of the Hal Jordan actor and the Jon Stewart actor.
Yeah.
And Hal Jordan, Kyle, the heck is the actor's name? Kyle Chandler?
Yeah, I think so.
And he had a really nice looking Green Lantern ring on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Look, I'm looking forward to it. They can, but there's good Green Lantern comics, so they can make a good TV show. But anyway, so you're, like I said, correct, Armin. Here's the thing, kind of in the same wavelength of you, and again, this is one that's 2/3 of it is good, but this is I'm picking this one because this is kind of what brought me to superhero movies a little bit more. And I don't know what is going back to, I feel like early 2000s. But the Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Right.
You know? I remember watching, I remember hearing about Spider-Man going to be a movie like through the internet and stuff like that, and kind of getting into it. And then I want to say, I know I went to the theater for the first one, and I think probably for all three of them, honestly. I want to say I watched the second Spider-Man like twice. The first Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man, amazing. Second one, amazing. The Venom one, again, we just, it just couldn't do a good Venom. Yeah. Just couldn't do it, and the silliness of the black suit Spider-Man is supposed to be like Spider-Man's an asshole, Peter Parker is,
right.
And not, he loves jazz and all the jokes people have already made, so I won't go through them, but it just, 2/3 of it is good.
They're self-referential in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Cartoon, he's like, we don't talk about that. We don't know what's going on here. Yeah. But again, are they all going to be winners?
No.
I mean, even because the first one off the board was Christopher Nolan Batman, and people still are saying things about The Dark Knight Rises. So
true. Yeah.
It's, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There are a couple that I'm eyeballing here.
Same. Mm-hmm. There's two I got my eye on right now.
All right. Well, I'm going to pick one. And if you pick my other one again, I'm going to be real disappointed. But I'm going to go ahead and get Thor.
Thor? Okay. Not one I was looking at. A good, not bad at all. Again, it's going to be the 2/3 of it is right. Good. It's Thor. Great when it came out. I'm not even Thor. I remember, I forgot which movie it had that had the end credit scene. This is when the end credit scenes were good, when they introduced new characters that were coming up soon. When you just saw the hammer, on the ground and people are all around it and stuff.
I think that was Iron Man 2.
Probably that would be a good guess. Thor Dark World, fine. Thor Ragnarok, I thought pretty good. Now, then the bad part about Thor Ragnarok is it led to, let's try to be super silly even more next time, because it's like, hey, the comedy aspect of Thor kind of works.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it to the nth degree then, But again, that trilogy.
They doubled down and realized that was a strategic error. So
yeah, and that happens. Okay, so you didn't pick one that I was looking at, which is good. I'm surprised this one's still on the board, if I'm being honest. I got to go MCU Spider-Man.
Okay. All right. That's not the one I was looking at, honestly.
It's
not for any reasons that it's not quality. I like Tom Holland as the actor. I like the way the character's portrayed. I like the fact that they did a really good job of blending in the Sam Raimi, or not even Sam, but the Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man versions. You have you have that moment, when they're looking for Spider-Man, we're looking for Peter Parker, and Ned's doing his thing, and then you see Tobey Maguire, and those were like real, genuine, joy-filled moments.
Yeah. Well, even you go back to the first one, I liked Vulture in there. I thought it was amazing. And then again, we talked about before with villains. The best villains are the ones that don't realize they're a villain. You can kind of empathize a little bit with Vulture. I forget what his name really is. But he's basically Iron Man's team, or Tony Stark's team, comes in and is like, yeah, we're just going to take all this stuff. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, we don't care.
He's like, I just got all this equipment, I got these contracts.
Yeah.
And then he says, so they get to destroy the city and get paid to clean it up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and then in the second one you have Mysterio, which of course in the trailers it tried to make it seem like he's going to be the good guy, he's going to be the friend. I honestly would have liked it if for the first movie, for the first time you see Mysterio, throughout that entire movie he was a friend, and he didn't turn. Maybe in the third one or maybe the next one he turns, because everybody that read comic books. Or watched Spider-Man cartoons knew Mysterio was the bad guy. So I think that would have been a swerve of not doing what you expect.
But I do think that they had to have that cliffhanger of Spider-Man's identity being revealed, and then you have the couple of years to, percolate on that and like, how are they going to work their way out of this one?
Yeah.
And then they just kind of double down, and you're like, yo, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he's my best friend. It's like,
yeah. Well, and even so the second one with the scene I'm thinking of now is like when he Peter Parker using his spider tingle, they call it, just snatches the gun, like the gun out of his Mysterio's hand. So you had the fake Mysterio on the ground and was going to give him the glasses, and it ends up that was the fake one. The real Mysterio had a gun like right by Peter Parker's head. And he just grabs it, and just Spider-Man, just Peter Parker just being almost completely done, and just worn out and stuff, and just everything he's gone through. So yeah.
And I do like that moment in Spider-Man Homecoming where he had the building basically dropped on top of him, and he had to, like, will himself to lift his way out of it. So that was it's like, who do you want to be at the end of the day? So
yeah, which is also from the comic books.
Yes.
That scene in particular, yeah. All right, Greg, what do you got?
I'm going to go with, again, 2/3 of these anymore are really solid. In most instances, one of them being a dud. But I'm going to go with Blade.
Blade, okay. Not where I was going to go.
There's something to be said about, Blade predates X-Men, predates Sam Raimi Spider-Man, predates all of this. There's I don't want to call it necessarily a theory, but there's the hypothesis that without Blade, without the success of Blade, you don't get anything else. Like Blade kind of being the godfather of them all, or forefather. Blade's great. Blade 2 is really good. I don't dislike Blade Trinity. I know that's not going to surprise most people. I thought Ryan Reynolds was good. I know he had issues with it at the end for the time that it came out. And I was like, holy crap, it's Triple H in that movie.
Yes.
And it had Jessica Biel, and watch most things that she's in.
Fair.
I've seen Stealth more than once, and it's not because the movie Stealth is a fantastic movie.
Well, Blade Trilogy, not bad at all. I cannot believe Blade Trilogy was picked before this. Actually, there's 2 of them that are like, I'm shocked that we haven't picked yet. I'm going to go with the new X-Men New Class.
Okay.
You have, let me think, New Class, which is great. That was, that was like, okay, X-Men are back on track now. Then we have, I believe, X-Men Days of Future Past.
Right.
And then probably another one. There's a third one. I think X-Men Apocalypse. And that doesn't matter. So it's 2/3. But man, X-Men, those first 2.
But you can't forget, and I'm not gonna like negate this as a viable option. X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, X-Men Apocalypse, and then Dark Phoenix. Let's not forget Dark Phoenix.
I forgot Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. So that's fine. Look, here's the thing. They started out so strong, and the idea was good. They brought it back. I want to say it was in the 50s for New Class, so different time period, different style. They had obviously a new because they would have to be younger. A new Magneto, new Professor X. Magneto, you kind of understood his story a little bit more. I believe, if I'm correct, so they did X-Men Origins Wolverine, and the idea, the reason they're called X-Men Origins Wolverine is because they were going to do a lot of them. They were going to do X-Men Origins Magneto, X-Men Origins Professor X. Obviously, X-Men Origins Wolverine was absolute shit. So they scrapped that, but then they kind of put it in new class of kind of a little bit of origin stories with them. Days of Future Past brought back the OG X-Men trilogy, in I think a really good storyline, and then it fell apart. But still, I'm going new class X-Men.
It's funny because have you seen the meme going around? It's not new, but from the Graham Norton show. Are you familiar with the Graham Norton show?
Oh yeah.
And so it's got on one couch, it's got Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, and then below picture it's got Hugh Jackman, Sir Patrick Stewart, and Sir Ian McClellan, and it says longest interview ever.
Right? Yeah. How long is this interview?
Wolverine, Professor X, and Magneto. So in that vein, I am going to go ahead and take the other X-Men trilogy,
the OG X-Men, as well. You should. It'd be. I was gonna snag that one if you didn't.
And
again, the same.
Largely based on, I think, not X-Men Last Stand. I think that's clearly the weakest of the bunch. But probably the second one, X-Men United. It doesn't get enough credit. I
would agree with you. Yeah.
The first one they have the of course that famous line about when Wolverine's in there, he's trying to adjust to the all leather, and Cyclops like, "What do you want, or what do you expect? Yellow spandex?"
Yeah.
And then 25 years later, close to it, we got the way Wolverine is supposed to look finally.
Well, yes, and also along with that, if you watch the X-Men '97 cartoon, they had a line where obviously Wolverine's in the yellow, and then him or Cyclops says, "What would you rather have, black leather?"
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty good. Okay, so trying to look at what we have left here. We got Ant-Man, we got Venom,
Wolverine.
And Wolverine, is that it? Oh yeah. Okay. And again, this is going to be God. Okay, we have one that ends amazing. We have one that begins pretty well.
Right.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I know. Okay, I'm going to say I'm going with the Ant-Man trilogy.
Okay.
Now, is it great? No, it's not. When we're near the end here. I know that Quantumania got a lot of negative, not just people didn't like it as much. I didn't think it was horrible. It was fine. So yeah, I can't say much about the trilogy. I've seen Ant-Man probably a couple times. Ant-Man and the Wasp maybe once or twice. They both have their good moments, and so Quantumania does too. It is what it is. So,
well, this is no disrespect to the movie that I just finished watching this week, but there's not a single offering in the Venom trilogy that's better than Logan.
True.
So I'm going to take the Wolverine trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely understandable. That's the one that ends good, obviously. Started out with X Origins Wolverines, which I had high hopes for. If you want to watch the worst CGI in a movie in probably the last 2,025 years, watch the scene where he has his claws out in the bathroom. I swear to you, it looks like MS. It was stunning how bad it was. And by the way, there's a lot of times in movies where people are like, "Oh my god, the CGI was horrible." I'm like, I thought it looked great.
Right.
This was atrocious. But here's the thing: they made up for it with Wolverine. The Wolverine was pretty good. And then killed it with Logan.
Yes,
just absolutely. Only thing I didn't like about Logan is because I want my Wolverine to be like badass and ferocious, and I don't want him to be old and slow. But still, even with that being said, amazing story. So, all right, of course, I got to go with Venom. It's fine, Like I said, Venom Last Dance. I would put it alongside Iron Man 3, Thor: Dark World. Here's the thing: better than Eternals. Would you agree or disagree?
The new Turtles?
No, Eternals.
Oh, Eternals. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's not better than the Turtles. No,
I thought you said better than the Turtles. I was like,
no. It's not. No, the Eternals.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna. Do you think it's when Hugh Jackman first signed up to play Wolverine in the very first movie, which means he probably got under contract? That first movie came out 2000?
Probably around there, 2000, maybe 2001. Yes, 2000 sounds right. I know when he signed up, he 2000. 2000. Okay.
There's no way that he knew that would go on for that. He'd be in that series for. Let's see. He's in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
The Wolverine trilogy. So there's 6.
Yeah.
He's in Days of Future Past. There's 7.
He's in New Class.
New Class for a minute. I mean,
still counts.
8. X-Men or Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah.
Is he in Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix?
No one knows.
That's fair. So we'll say 9 movies so far.
Yeah.
And he has gotten more ripped for each one than more ripped than the one before.
Yeah.
So like you remember that early shot of him in the mansion where he's first woken up and he's like scrawny, like there's nothing. He clearly didn't think like this was ever going to take off. He's like, I'm going to go back to Broadway when this is over. London's West End. In
fact, he's talked about this in interviews. He had no idea what X-Men was. He had no idea what Wolverine was. It's kind of a funny story. He talked about that when on his first day on set, he was like acting like a wolf. He was like, I was kind of. He said he studied wolves, and it was like how they moved. And he's like, they kind of looked down at their prey and stuff, and he was doing all this stuff. And then the director was like, "What are you doing?" He said, I'm like a wolf. They're like. And they're like, why wolf? And he's like, Wolverine. And he's like, there's not actually an animal Wolverine. He's like, yeah, there is. So he had no clue. But yeah, he even he was in shape for sure in the first X-Men movie. Like I wish I was in his shape. But yeah, he went from being in shape to in 2025 being completely shredded beyond belief in Deadpool and Wolverine. So. All right.
Well, you know what's left then.
What?
Your last pick.
Oh, Venom. I already said Venom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a given. Yeah.
Mr. Irrelevant, so to speak. So, Mike, that's a lot of fun.
Yes, indeed.
Especially when we draft down to the last one because it just takes more time.
Yeah.
Before we let you all leave this week, Mike and I have a bit of an announcement.
We're pregnant. Both of us simultaneously.
No. This is episode 398 of Nerds United. Episode 1 was like June 10th or something like that, 2013. And we have come to the conclusion that episode 400 is going to be our last episode. It's going to be our last regular episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna put the show on the shelf, get together for special occasions, big movies and things like this. It's just we're tired. I know that's a horrible excuse.
True though.
But with Mike going back to school for his master's, with my situation, it's when we're only doing it every other week because I have the kids, my boys every other week. And then, I got the link up and the stream built for this like 20 minutes before the show started because I have a job.
Yeah.
And because my job is not like an 8 to 5 or something like that. Like it requires some, flexible hours and things like that. I don't know if I said this early in the show, but I'm working tomorrow from 9 to probably 5:30 if I'm lucky. So it's not that we don't love doing the show. I'm forever grateful that, I brought Mike on. It was supposed to be kind of as a one-off to talk about some Marvel movies and things like that. And that was back in 2018, 2019?
Yeah, 2018. Yeah.
And that was also episode like 95.
Yeah. That's insane.
We packed more episodes in the last 6 years than we did in the first 6 years, by multiples of. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to take some time away. We'll hang out. I'll still have my nerdy banter with Mike all the time. But we're going to let Nerds United just kind of go away after episode 400. So what we're going to do not next week, but our next show is just going to be a regular show. And then episode 400 is going to be like I don't know, it's an appreciation show. We're not
nostalgia.
Yeah. We'll share some stories. We'll have some laughs and, but it's time. We'll get into the origins of it, in episode 400. Before we officially, sign off, we'll kind of give you all the rundown of the genesis of Nerds United, why I wanted to do the show in the first place. So, so that will, we don't want this to be like a sad thing. It's we'll still be here for 2 more episodes and, maybe, I don't know what it's going to look like. It's not like we're very good on social media anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Like, yeah, I couldn't tell you last time Instagram or X got updated and Facebook has been, so I don't know. But we just, it's time. It's time to just, I don't know, if nothing else, free up a Friday evening.
Yeah.
To just not sit at a computer. Mike and I, we've talked, one of the things that we're going to do periodically is get together with Nolan and play some Dungeons and Dragons. Or just hang out and have a couple beers. Mike can laugh at me while I fall asleep on my chair. So. But anyway, we'll have a couple more shows for you. And then we'll say goodbye for the time. But just always with gratitude, that, anybody shows up.
Oh yeah.
This is, we've been doing the show, like I said, for a while. And we only started doing them live in the last, 6 months or a year, something like that.
Yeah.
And we're appreciative of all of you that tune in, but there's, it's time. It's time to let things mature and just, they've had their run. So
yes.
That being said, the good news is we'll plan on seeing you in 2 weeks for our regular shenanigans. And then hopefully 4 weeks from now, Mike will be here at the house. We'll cheers together the way we used to every week, with beer and probably with a little wild turkey.
For sure.
But we'll see you in 2 weeks on Nerds United. So for my great friend and the co-host of the year, Mike Luther, I'm Greg Mahachko. This is Nerds United, a Jittery Monkey podcast, jitterymonkey.com, reminding you each and every week to be kind
and rewind.
This is a production of the Jittery Monkey Podcast Network. For more jittery shenanigans, go to jitterymonkey.com.